Hello everyone and welcome back to Ruby Lessons in Code Academy. So in the last lesson we were looking at how to know what to do, or basically we were again looking at tips and tricks of Ruby. That's the whole section. That's what the whole section is about. Today it's more going to be about a review of what we have learned so far, and then in the next lesson we are going to be moving on with a new section. So one-liners, if you don't remember this lesson, that I would recommend looking at a simple if, I believe. So alright, time to put your new knowledge in to work by refactoring some existing code. Refactoring is just a fancy way of saying we're improving the structure of appearance of our code without changing what it actually does, making it more efficient in a way. Although it's not really gaining efficiency, it's just losing lines, in this case anyway. So we won't cover every bit of syntax from the previous exercises, which is that's why you have the previous exercises if you wanted to go into more detail. But we will highlight the highlights. We will hit the highlights. We will highlight the highlights. That was not correct. So refactor the contents of the editor to just one line of code. That's quite easy. Just make it into English. Puts this, if that. We don't even need an end. There we go. 1 is less than 2. Same result as if we had this. Just to make sure, there you go. We get the same result. And just to prove that this isn't pre-written, that, and also that, and also let's now fix it up into what they wanted to be, and there we go. Let's move on. The ternary operator. Good, let's make our code even more streamlined using the ternary operator. So the example above is just a syntax reminder. 3 equals, well, we're having the variable name as 3 to be equal to the integer 3. Puts 3 equals 3, question mark, of course, and what. So if this statement evaluates to true, it does this. If it evaluates to false, it does that. So factor the if statement in the editor to use a ternary operator to put the correct sentence. So instead of having to use an if-else statement, you can just do this. And I'm going to use a new line of code. So we want to do puts, and then we want to do 1 less than 2, question mark, something, colon, something. So 1 is less than 2. I can actually completely remove the quotation marks from there, which is quite nice. And there we go. That should do what we wanted to do. As you can see, we've made, what, 5 lines of code into just 1 line. Even though this might actually not look as self-explanatory as the previous one. So again, it depends on personal preference in this case. I don't think that this is any more efficient than the if-else statements. So in case of many options, excellent. Regular if-else statements aren't the only ones we can refactor though. A chain of if-else statements can clean up really nicely too. So if you remember, we used the case statement. That was also quite early on. Or maybe, yeah, it was also quite early on. That's weird. They're making quite a lot of repetitive things from really early on. But oh well. So refactor the if-else statements in the editor into a tidy case statement. So puts what's your favorite language, and then we get an input. So how we can easily do this, I'm completely going to rewrite it because that's the easiest way to go in such a case. So if you were going to rewrite code, what's the best thing to do is just comment your old code out without deleting it yet. Just to make sure that it does exactly what you want it to do. Okay. So case language, we have language. Nope. So what do we have? We have when language. No, when, and then what we want to have it to. So we have when Ruby, then something. Then we can also have when something, then something again. That's going to be for Python. from Python, then something. I'm just going to basically copy this out. How many times? So 1, 2, 3, and then just one line. So Ruby, Python, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and then we also have default. And that was not the statement. I will look at that later, but when Ruby, then we want to do Ruby is great for web apps. Python is great for science. I'm not sure how correct these are, but oh well. JavaScript makes websites awesome. That is actually true. HTML is what websites are made of. That is true. So I'm guessing these are quite true. CSS makes websites pretty. That is also true. So let's just see, and then we have the else end statement. Else. So this is our default. I don't know your language, and then we have end. Also here we need to put a puts because it doesn't know what we want to do with the string otherwise. There we go. What's your favorite language? Let's go with Python. Python is great for science. Make sure to convert your into a case statement. I have. Does it literally want us to delete that? Maybe. That's quite stupid. Because if you were going to actually make a program, you want to keep that in just in case this doesn't work out until you test it properly. But oh well, I guess that's what Codecademy wants us to do. So if you were going to enter just something random, then you would get something like this. What you could also do is split these up into separate lines. Sometimes that looks better. Again, it might depend on preference. It does the same thing. Sometimes it looks better, sometimes it doesn't. So if you were going to do something quicker, then maybe do put it in one line. If you're going to do something more complicated or that takes up more space, then put it in multiple lines. Python. And there we go. Again, same result, even though we split it up onto 2 lines. So moving on, conditional assignment. Perfect, now let's review conditional assignment. So we'll take a break from strict editing mode and let you do a bit more writing. Good. Create a variable called favorite animal and conditionally assign it to a string containing the name of your favorite animal. This is quite simple. We covered this slightly later on. I believe it was in this one. I'm not too sure though. And then the conditional assignment operator was an or equal to. Favorite animal? Let's just go with dog. Quite simple. Do you create a variable called favorite animal? Oh right, I spelled it the English way. So the American way, which is what they wanted us to do. Okay then. Fair enough, moving on. Implicit return. Next, let's simplify our method madness by removing unnecessary returns from our code. Sometimes it's better to actually have the return in there because it's clearer to read. So I would actually use a return statement if I remembered to. But again, it depends on your own preference. So write a method square, def square, that takes a number as an argument, okay, and implicitly returns the square of that number, and then we have end. There we go. Good. So we have done it. Just to test it out, why don't we actually try to use it? Square, let's give it 6. 36. 7. 49. Good. You could also do number times number. You get the same result. No difference. But I do believe that having it like this is more efficient. Good. Moving on. For shame. Alright, last one. Let's do something about the decidedly un-Ruby for loop in the editor. For I in, so remember this is like in saying for in range in Python, do this. I'm refactoring master. So it does that 3 times. So why don't we fix it up using the dot times? 3 dot times, and then we do the block of puts I'm refactoring I'm a refactoring master, if I can even pronounce it correctly. There we go. And we have done it using Ruby instead of less Ruby-ist stuff. Okay, so that's the lesson for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. In the next lesson, we are going to be moving on to the refactor factory. So that was this lesson, or maybe not, I'm not sure. So blocks, procs, and lambdas, that might be the next lesson. Or it's going to be one of these two. You will see which one it is. So I'm going to leave it on a cliffhanger, or you can just go on codecademy.com and check out the whole course. So until then, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.